Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Gamer Time Podcast. So I'm Matt Kelly. This is Big Al.
How you doing, everybody?
Fire speed, brother. How's it going, man?
Good, Maddie. This is, mind you, the last podcast of 2020, and we look forward to bigger and better things in 2021. So, if you're excited, we're excited.
Yes, sir. There you go. Gamer Time Podcast. Last episode before 2021. Hopefully a new year, better year, because this has been crap. Anyway, anyways, this is going to be a very special football episode to end the year. We are going to start off with college football. You're thinking at home right now, why are we starting off with college football? The season's almost over. We're in bowl season. There's one big thing that has not happened yet, and that is the Heisman Trophy presentation. Now, each year, four guys, and I'm going to give you six candidates, but four guys normally go to New York City in a nice ballroom and get presented the award. Probably not going to happen with COVID this year. So, um, any day now, with the national championship semifinals starting up in 2 days, um, any day now they're bound to announce the winner of the trophy. So, Big Al, are you ready to give your pick?
Let's do it, Maddie. Who do you got for me?
Okay, so here are the candidates. We're going to start off with the quarterback of Alabama, Mac Jones. 3,300 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Then we've got the quarterback of Florida, Kyle Trask. 3,700 yards passing, 39 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions with 2 rushing touchdowns. We move on to the wide receiver of Alabama, which is Devonta Smith. 83 catches, 1,327 receiving yards, 17 touchdowns, 15 receiving, 1 rushing, and 1 punt return. And then we move on to Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback of Clemson. He's got 2,400 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Mind you, he missed 2 games due to COVID. Um, you've got the quarterback of Notre Dame, Ian Book, 2,300 yards passing, 15 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. Um, and you've got Justin Fields, the quarterback out of Ohio State. 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 239 rushing yards, and 5 rushing touchdowns. Now, mind you, with that one, also he's only played 6 games. So, Big Al, I've given you six of probably the best college football players this year. So, who is your pick?
All right, well, Matt, I feel all the candidates deserve to be up there, and it's tough to give a non-quarterback the pick, the Heisman, just because they're you know, I think I believe a running back's gotten it before, but and some others, but just to have a receiver get it, not saying he doesn't deserve it, but I'm gonna shy away from that right now. But as good as the season as he's having, but I was stuck between two, Ian Book and Trevor Lawrence, because I think the natural pick from everyone would be Trevor Lawrence because he's just number one overall draft pick coming up. Like, he's just that it guy. But I'm gonna go a slightly different route, Matt, because I think the quarterback position is the most valued. So, um, Clemson, I feel they went 1-2 when they didn't have Lawrence in there, so that means they can win without him. And I feel like they're always Clemson's a team that's always in the playoffs. So, one team and one guy that I'm thinking is Ian Book from Notre Dame. Notre
Okay.
Dame was in the high ups last year and lost in the playoffs, but they're just a team that is hardly ever there. And for him to come in and lead them to two straight bowl appearances in the playoffs, I think that's high praise enough to get his team over the top, and to do that, I take Ian Book.
Okay. My pick actually, I am actually going to go the opposite of what you said at the beginning, and that is the receiver out of Alabama. You're right. I'm not saying you're wrong about your. It's hard for a non-quarterback to win the award because it is, but I think that with these candidates and the amount of games and the lackluster amount of stats, I think that this he didn't have a lackluster amount of stats. He had 1,300 receiving yards with what did I say? 17 touchdowns or
Yeah,
something like that. He's had a season and a half for most guys, and out of a season where most players only played 9, 10 games this year. So he's had a bonkers year where everybody else has kind of had an average year. Um, so yeah, my pick's going to be Devonta Smith. I could be most likely I'm wrong. I think the national debate right now is the first two, Mac Jones and Kyle Trask. I think that they've, out of the SEC, they're always going to lean towards the SEC because they think it's a tougher schedule than everybody else.
right.
Um, and those two quarterbacks were the winningest quarterbacks in the conference and the biggest stat leaders of the conference. So I think those are the two guys with the most amount of attention. So you could very well see either one of those two winning the award. But yeah, I like Devonta
Yeah.
Smith. To me, he had the only normal year out of anybody on the list. So yeah, should be interesting.
Okay.
Any day now, they're going to announce it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Um, let's move on to NFL, shall we?
Sure.
How about this? Let's just do a real quick recap of kind of what happened this past weekend. Um, Stop me if you want to say anything special or anything like that. But we're going to start off. The Saints over the Vikings. Alvin Kamara with a bonkers game, 6 rushing touchdowns, 52-33. You've got the Buccaneers who dominated the Lions 47-7. Um, the 49ers eked one out over the Cardinals 20-12. The Dolphins, here's an interesting one. The Dolphins beat the Raiders 26-25 to knock out Vegas of the playoffs officially. It could have been they could have had a hard time getting in, but the Dolphins officially ended their season. Well, ended their
And the Raiders cost themselves in that one. They give up a give up a big yard on when they were winning, Matt, and with 15 seconds left, and they blew it. So yeah, they deserve to be out. I'm sorry, John Gruden, but goodbye.
yeah. The Ravens beat the Giants 27-13, and we'll get into that NFC East because it's getting pretty crazy. But the Giants take
Oh
the loss
boy.
there. The Chiefs barely get one over the Falcons, where they struggled pretty much all day. The Falcons kind of um, played enough to beat the Chiefs, in my opinion. This is the lowest scoring game of the season for the Chiefs by a lot, 17-14. The Jets beat the Browns 23-16. Browns having a pretty
How
good
about
year.
this?
Yeah, Browns having a pretty good year, and the Jets, who are not having a good year, got the win there. The Bears over the Jaguars, 41-17. Jaguars are pretty bad too. The Bengals beat the Texans 37-31. Again, no Joe Burrow for the Bengals. The Steelers get back on the winning track and they win 28-24 over a good Colts team. So that's a big game for them. Um,
They were down by 17 in that game too.
yeah, big comeback. The Panthers beat the Washington football team 20-13. Again, we'll hold off on that NFC East stuff because it was pretty crazy this weekend. Um, then of course the Chargers beat the Broncos 19-16. The Broncos fought back in the second half, so give them a little bit of credit, but they just not a good year. And then of course the big one, the Cowboys over the Eagles 37-17. Um, we'll jump into that NFC East thing right now. Okay, so let's just give
Sure.
me 1 second. The Seahawks over the Rams 20-9. The Packers whooped the Titans in the snow 40-14, and the Bills clinched the division over the hated Patriots 38-9. Um, okay, so like I said, the Washington football team took a loss 20-13 to the Panthers, and the Giants took a loss to the Ravens 27-13.
Mhm.
So going into this big time matchup of the Eagles and the Cowboys, if the Eagles were to win this game, they could go down to winning you're in next weekend against the Washington football team.
Mhm.
Um, and so all four teams in that division are still in it. Well, were still in it. And, that day, this past Sunday. And, and so the Cowboys shut up the Eagles pretty. That was a huge game for the Eagles, and they couldn't get the win. So, big time Cowboys fan, Big Al. How are you feeling right now?
Matthew, I couldn't hold my breath even more so in that game. Oh my gosh, we were down 14-3
Mm-hmm.
after the long Deshaun Jackson bomb, and I'm like, oh, this can't happen right now. But I held my ground, and I was in a room with a bunch of Eagles fans, and it's everyone was yelling at me, but I kept my ground, and I said it's plenty of time left, and I didn't give up on them. So it's surprisingly they played extremely well, and they got a huge win that they desperately needed.
Yeah. So, okay. So the Giants and the Cowboys had the same record, which was one game behind the Washington football team, and the Eagles were in fourth with a game and a half behind the Washington football team. So what the Eagles needed to do was they obviously needed to win, but they needed Washington and the Giants to lose as well as beating the Cowboys, so that they would then take over second place with just half a game behind the Washington football team ahead of their big time matchup next weekend. So they actually needed a bunch of dominoes to fall. And the two dominoes that were probably the hardest that they didn't have any control over, they fell. And the one domino that they needed to fall that they did have control over, which was beating the Cowboys, they just couldn't do it.
Yep.
So they are officially out. Sorry, Philadelphia. And the Cowboys have a chance now being it's tie record, right? So you are now the same record as Washington,
Yep.
but they hold the tiebreaker. So what you need to do is you need to win and Washington needs to lose. So you need to officially in the standings be a game up on them, which is possible. So to win that division and get into the playoffs. So the another very interesting part of that is that you need to beat the Giants, but Washington needs to lose to the team that you just beat. So you're actually rooting for the team that you just beat. How is that? What's that feeling like? What do you what's running through your head as far as next weekend?
Oh man, man. I obviously I had picked the Cowboys at the beginning of the season, but I didn't expect any of these four teams to be in the position that they're in terms of record. Um, but next week, Matt, honest opinion, I think the Cowboys can beat the Giants just based off how well they played against Philly. And so if that does happen, then yes, I hate to say it, but for at least 1 week, I will be cheering my butt off for the Eagles and Jalen Hurts to beat Washington. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby.
That's so weird. Okay, so I'm trying to think if that eliminates the Giants. So the Giants are one game behind, which if they beat the Cowboys, they catch them and probably the tiebreaker. And if Washington loses, they catch
They would be. I think they would win the division if they beat us, and then
in the Eagles, right?
The Eagles beat the Redskins. Yeah, then the Giants would get it.
Okay, so then here you go. If the Eagles beat the Washington football team, then it comes down to the winner of the Cowboys versus the Giants.
Yes.
Whoever wins that game. So that could be interesting too. I don't know what the time slots are, but if one of those happens before the other one, you could it could be a very tight
We'll get
ending.
we'll get this, Matt. The Cowboys Giants game's at 1 o'clock, and they moved the Eagles Redskins game instead of 1 o'clock to the 8:30 Sunday night game.
Oh wow. Hmm.
So those guys are sitting back watching our game, waiting to see who they might play, and oh my gosh, I I can't wait.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. Um, so that's a good way to start this. I wanted to go through the NFL standings, and so since we just had a nice little talk on the NFC East, let's start with there, and move on to with the NFC West. The Seahawks clinched the division with a big time win over the Rams. Um, and the Rams do, I believe, still have a shot at a wild card, but the Seahawks sitting at 11-4. What's your take on the NFC West?
Um, I think I did see Seattle winning that division, so
Okay.
um, I did you say that both the Rams and Arizona are in the wild card?
Um, I don't have. I'd have to look again for what the playoff picture looks like. I'm guessing since there's only one wild card that has clinched, with two other spots open, you've got a 5-10 Panthers, so I doubt that. You've got an 8-7 Bears, so maybe
I think
nobody
they'd
in the
be the
NFC.
final
Okay,
wild card.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
I think they would beat the Bears if they win. If they beat the Packers, I think they would be the final wild card if another team loses.
Okay, yeah. So you've got the Bears at 8-7, you've got the Cardinals at 8-7, and you've got the Rams at 9-6. So the Rams win and you're in, and the last playoff spot could come down to the Cardinals and the Bears. Um, Whoever survives their games. Do the Rams play the Cardinals? I'm not sure who plays who. Could
Uh,
It could be because the Rams just played the Seahawks, so it's not them. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways,
and I
um,
think didn't Kyler Murray get hurt?
uh, I don't know. That's an interesting question. So the Rams do play the Cardinals.
Okay.
So the 49ers and Seahawks and Rams and Cardinals. So that could be a huge game for the Cardinals. If they could beat the Rams, they could probably seal their place into the playoffs.
Mhm.
Um, okay, NFC North. The Packers completely dominated that one, 12-3. 4 games up on the Bears at 8-7, like we said. Um, how do you feel about the Packers in the playoffs? Do you think that's the best team, or what do you think?
Matt,
If they win,
whether
if they win, they clinch home field in the NFC in the bye week.
okay. Um, which going against your division rival Bears in Chicago is not going to be an easy task.
No.
Don't get me wrong, but I think at being in the playoffs and if they do concede the number one seed and get home field, Matt, I don't know who's going to really compete with them.
Yeah.
I know the Saints are good, but I just think that the Packers offense is shining even without drafting another receiver to help Aaron Rodgers. Like they're still dominating right now, and that defense has played a lot better. So I quite honestly I see them hosting NFC Championship and probably moving on.
Okay, so moving to the NFC South I have an interesting question about that.
Hmm.
The Saints are leading that at 11-4, 1 game over the Bucks at 10-5. Now the Saints they play the Panthers, and the Bucks play the Falcons, but it's an interesting question because I'm thinking of Drew Brees. So everybody knows that they have kind of struggled, and he's kind of struggled with his health. Now they had a huge rushing victory with Alvin Kamara this past week, but um, it makes me think as to how you want to rest Breeze, because if you win and the Packers lose, I think they have a shot at. I'm trying to look up the tiebreakers. I can't find anything. But if the Saints win and the Packers lose, you have the same record at 12-4. Um, and maybe
Well,
and the Seahawks could win at 12-4. So yeah, I don't know, but the
wow.
Saints. I think the Saints. The reason I'm mentioning it is because I think the Saints have a chance at getting the bye week, and I think that could be very big for Drew Brees. Or
Okay.
or you use this week as the bye week, and you say, you know what, we already clinched the division, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So they can't lose the division to the Bucks. So the Saints clinch the division, and you you bench Breeze, you put in Taysom Hill, and you just play without him. Rest your start as many starters as you want, and just accept the fact that you're going to play the first weekend of the playoffs, and use this week as the bye week rather than trying your hardest and playing Breeze, who probably needs a little bit more rest, and then you guys don't get that bye week, and then he needs to play again next week. So I kind of feel like the Saints, maybe they should just accept the fact that they can't get that bye week, which I guess maybe they still have a shot, but accept it now and bench Breeze and give him that time that he probably needs, because a lot of people are saying right now that he's struggled, um, not this past week but the week before,
Mhm.
and just to see, if he can get his bearings back, because the rib injury, was pretty gruesome. I know what was it like, a couple of broken ribs, right?
12.
Damn. So yeah, um,
Well,
that's
Matt, to be
that's
honest
my
with
take.
you, Matt, to be honest with you about that, if they are in position for a bye, yeah, I'd play them because you want you want that home field throughout the playoffs because like they have to go. I'm not saying they're bad, they can't win on the road, but they're a lot better home team, and whether they have fans or not. So I would think if he struggles, then put Taysom Hill back in. But I think Drew Brees is still Drew Brees, and he'll come back around, especially in clutch games. So if you're trying to get that bye, go ahead and play him, and if he struggles, put in the other guy.
Okay, all right. Okay, let's move on to the AFC. We've got a collision division win. Did I say that right? Division clinching win
Oh.
for the Buffalo Bills. 12-3 right now. Second place is the 10-5 Dolphins. Another great year. Um, how are you feeling about the Bills? Because a lot of people say, what's going to happen for that? You know, Steelers versus Bills potential matchup. You know what I mean?
hmm Well, the last week they play the Dolphins, and the Dolphins are still as they're the number five first playoff team, wild card team. So I think they still need to win that game. Which the Bills you could actually rest because you're not going to get number one. You already won the division.
Right.
You just you won last night. So I would if I were them, I would rest them, and if that means the Dolphins win, then they win and they can play each other again. But I think they'll be a tough task for the Steelers or for anybody for that matter when it comes playoff time. But I think they should rest them this week and let Miami get in there.
Okay. All right. The AFC West. Oh boy. My Broncos
That's
are down at the bottom at 5-10. The Chargers had a decent year. They It looks like they found their quarterback. They're 6-9 though. Their rookie quarterback. That's why I say that had a great year, but he's a rookie, so he still needs a little bit of time. The Raiders. They started off strong, and they had a big win against the Chiefs. But
yeah.
the Chiefs, that was their only loss against the Raiders. They are sitting at 14-1. They clinched the bye week this past weekend for the playoffs, and they look they're on a 10-game win streak, and they just look like the best team in football. I mean, and it doesn't look like that's going to change, not just this year but next year or the year after. And Ah, this sucks, man. So,
Well,
how are you feeling
obviously.
about the dominant Chiefs?
Well, Matthew, I agree that they've been dominant this whole time, and um, I I think their defense is a little overrated,
Mm-hmm.
and like they can still like they'll play well enough to win games because of their offense, but and they'll play just enough good defense. But like if I feel like if they played um maybe the Packers in the Super Bowl or something, I'd have to take Aaron Rodgers over Patrick Mahomes. But I think that
Ooh.
bad man.
Yeah.
But I think they're definitely a good enough team to go back to the Super Bowl. But as terms of winning, depending on who they play, um, I would say the only team they couldn't beat in the Super Bowl would be Green Bay. So I
Wow.
think they are a good team, but and we'll see who they play to get there.
Yeah. Okay. AFC North. So I picked this one preseason. I actually, well, sort of. I thought that the Ravens were going to win the division, but I kind of had a hunch that the Steelers were going to be good. I thought that they were going to make uh, the wild card, but be very close to winning the division. It turns out they're going to win the. Well, did they? Yeah, they already won the division. So
Yes. Yes, yeah.
they're sitting at 12-3. They won their first 10 games, and they looked like they were. Their defense was amazing for most of the year. They struggled with some injuries, but their defense looked awesome. Their offense played decent, and then they rattled off 3 losses that people people in Pittsburgh kind of or people nationally kind of saw it coming. I think that
Mhm.
their offense started to slow down towards the end of their winning streak, and the defense kind of kept them in games, and they did enough. But they won this past week against a really good Colts team, and it was kind of a little bit of an explosion offensively in the second half. So I think that um, they may have found something.
Hmm.
There, reports are that Ben isn't going to play this weekend, so he's going to rest. But um, what do you think about the AFC North? I mean, how good of a chance do you think the Steelers have?
Well, I guess depending on who they play in the if their first game is at home, I think
Yeah,
I feel like they play better. They're a team that just plays better at home,
right.
and I think that they can definitely be a scary team to some teams. You know, the defense is stepping up over the last couple of weeks. They've been really stepping up, and although like they had some bad losses to like the Bengals, but I think that's behind them now, and I think once playoff time comes, it's back to Steeler football, and they're gonna show their muscle offensively and defensively. So I think they'll be pretty good this year.
Okay. And you've got an AFC South division, which has 2 teams at the top: the Tennessee Titans and the Indy Colts.
Hmm.
They are tied at 10-5. Look here, but they do not play each other.
Okay.
So, I don't know who holds the tiebreaker. I'm gonna try and see here if I can find it. Um, their home records are 5-2 and 5-3. I'm not sure; it doesn't give me the conference record, but so going down to the last game, you've got the Colts against the Jaguars at
Mhm.
home, and you've got the Titans and Texans in Houston. Do you think that's enough to give Indy the division, or can you see it going opposite? Do you think the Jaguars get a win?
Uh, I'm sorry. Who did you say played the Jaguars?
The Colts. The Colts are at home though, so it's a bigger advantage in their game versus the Titans going on the road to play Deshaun Watson.
Um. Well, even though they just got blown out, so because the Titans got blown out in the snow to the Packers, um, I think Derrick Henry shows his muscle once again in Houston and is going to have a field day running wild. I think the Colts still win their game at home, but I also think the Titans win on the road. So that I would imagine that would lead to the Titans, I believe, for the division.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I do think both the Colts and the Titans will win their respective games.
Okay. All right. All right. I like it. I like it. So that wraps up the standings. I just want to give a couple of, let's see, the offensive leaders here for NFL. Patrick Mahomes is 260 yards away from 5,000 yards. Do you believe he gets that one?
This week, yes.
Okay. Derrick Henry is sitting at 1777. He would need, oh man, 223 yards to get to 2,000. Do you think he gets that?
No, I think he'll put up a fight, and he'll get probably over 100, but
Okay.
not too.
Okay. TJ Watt is the sack leader at 15 sacks. I'm not sure if he's going to play this weekend, but if he does, do you think he goes off and gets 20? 5 sacks in a
Needs
game?
5.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Very doable. I say no, but very doable.
Okay. Xavier Howard of the Dolphins is your interceptions leader. He's got 9 picks. Do you think he gets double digits? One more.
I could see a pick or two in there. Yeah,
Oh.
I mean, I know it's Josh Allen in Buffalo, but if they arrest people, that means their backups are in, and I can see him playing hard and needing, especially if they need to win to stay in the wild card. They're gonna play their hardest, and I think they do get not. I don't know about a win, but I think he gets one more.
Okay. Here's a nice big one. Oh no, now my window is starting to slow down. Okay. Stefan Diggs, 1,459 receiving yards, is in first place, but Travis Kelsey, the tight end for Kansas City, is at 1,416 yards. Could this be? I don't know if this has ever happened before, but do you think that Travis Kelsey could pass Diggs and become the all time, I'm sorry, not all time, but the league leading receiver in receiving yards as a tight end?
Yeah,
Yeah, just simple.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, that's other than Hill, that's his favorite target, and I've noticed that Diggs gets thrown to, but they have a lot more weapons that they can pass it around to. So, and I know Patty throws it to um, Hardman and Sammy and those guys, but his main target, other than Hill, is Kelsey. So I think he can definitely do that.
Okay.
And
The
side note, Matt, by the way, thank you, Stevan Diggs, for getting me 10 fantasy points and becoming seventh place winner. Thank you for that, Stevan. But
okay.
go on.
Um, Devonte Adams leads the league with 17 receiving touchdowns. And the record for receiving touchdowns in one season as a Green Bay Packer is 18. Do you think Adams can get 2 more to take the record for the Packers?
Yes.
How about
I know.
3 more to get to 20?
Just give me two. Just
Just
give
two.
me at least the first record. But they're playing the Bears. That'd be a tough game. So give me two.
All right. Well, that wraps up my NFL review. Big Al, you had something for me. What's going on here?
Yeah, Matt, I know you're a basketball guy, so I just wanted to have a certain question that I saw a stat the other day that I believe I group chatted you with, and it was pretty crazy. So I just want your opinion.
Okay.
The uh, the LA Clippers
Oh boy.
got blown out by the Dallas Mavericks
They sure did.
by 52 points, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, I wouldn't say it's time to panic in LA, but is it just what is it about those blowout wins by teams? Is it just like a good team having a bad night, or how could they be blown out by that much?
Okay, so we had our last week. If our fans saw, we had our NBA special, our season introduction, if you will. Um, it's no secret that the LA Clippers are probably the team that can challenge the Lakers to contention or the championship, at least in the Western Conference. Um, to answer your question, yes, this is just to be realistic. As much as I would love to say how bad the Clippers are, they're still a great team. Um, to be realistic, this is definitely just an off night. It's pretty insane because that is a bad off night. I mean, 50-point loss is pretty rare in the NBA. For it to be against probably the clear cut second, maybe third best team in basketball, for them to go down that way, that's crazy.
Right.
Um, it definitely opens some people's eyes. I think that is like, hey, what the heck just happened here, and let's get it together. You know what I mean? It's 3 games into the season, so it holds zero weight, but it's still definitely like, how much? You know what I mean? So it's an eye
Yeah.
opener for sure, but really realistically, it doesn't mean much. I'm sure they're gonna bounce back. They're probably playing tonight. I'm sure they're gonna bounce back, probably get a win, and move on, and just forget about it. So, but
Okay,
yeah,
I
it's
believe
definitely an
they
eye
had.
opener.
Oh yes, I believe they had like 27 points at halftime, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
are you talking about PlayStation? Are you talking about real life? That's crazy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, so do you have anything else?
I'm I'm okay.
All right.
I'm okay, Maddie.
Well, folks, I think that wraps it up. We've given you a nice little preview, well, a nice little recap of the college football season so far, a little bit of a recap of this past week and the results in the NFL and what to look forward to for this coming weekend. So it should be a very nice close to the NFL season. Um, and watch that semifinal for college football, the playoff. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than that for this season, at least. Um, but that wraps it up for me, for Big Al.
And yes, guys. Thank you for staying with us, and you know, thank you. This was the last 2020 episode, and I hope everyone has a safe and happy New Year, and just stay safe, and let's go 2021.
Yeah. All right, people. Peace.
Thanks.